Hello there BookTube, how are you doing? I thought I'd do another Friday Reads video and let you know what my reading has looked like this past week. Before I get into that, I thought I'd let you know that pretty soon, over the next day or so, I'll be uploading the first instalment of my library tour. Yeah, I'm doing a little library tour of my bookcases before I move house, just to show you what they're like now, and then after I've moved and reorganised everything and settled in, I'll do another one. Yeah, while I'm doing that, I probably won't be doing the weekly poem videos at the weekend, just so I'm not inundating you with so many videos every week. So instead I'm going to be reading a poem at the end of this video, just to make it a bit simpler for the time being. And then when the library tour is over, I'll go back to doing a weekly poem video. I'll go into what I've been reading this week, and the only book I finished this week was The Diary of Anne Frank. I was reading this as part of the Reading Europe 2021 challenge that is being sort of run by Mark over at Book Time with Elvis. And so I originally was given the country Austria, and when they were beaten by the Netherlands, I then had to read something from the Netherlands, and so I decided to read this. And this was a sort of gap in my childhood reading. My sister had read it when she was about 10 years old, but yeah, I never read it. I think there's some like documentary or something on TV that I'd seen, and I knew what happened. But yeah, it wasn't the same as reading it. So yeah, recently I finally picked it up, and since Austria were beaten by the Netherlands, I thought it would be the perfect time to read it. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed reading it. I thought it was, yeah, there's just some really lovely writing in here, and yeah, it's just great just to be able to read her words, her thoughts, her feelings in such a it's a situation that many of us, like almost none of us really, are going to experience anything like that in our lives, and to have a window into that, not just to know what happened, but just to know how she was feeling about it, and to see how the family and sort of friendships go on while they're in that situation, and also just to see how in some small ways life goes on, that life had to kind of go on even though they were in hiding. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed it, and the writing was really good too. I think this, as she's growing up, the writing just gets better and better, and I think there's a point in here where she becomes a bit more self-conscious with her writing, and she realises that maybe one day she might adapt it into a novel or something. And there are some passages in here towards the end where the writing really is superb. And so yeah, I really enjoyed it, and yeah, and I was talking to my sister actually on the phone the other day, and I can't remember her name, but essentially it's not really a spoiler to say that the only person who out of the family and friends who were hiding in the annex who survived was Anne Frank's father, Otto, and essentially later on in life, when he found out that the rest of his family were dead, he moved, and he met a woman who was in the exact same kind of circumstance. She'd been in a concentration camp, and all of her family had been in concentration camps, and she was the only one left, and they got married, and maybe she wasn't the only one left, but definitely her husband had been killed, and she wrote an autobiography as well, and I think my sister's got that and she recommended that, but I've read quite a lot that's to do with World War II and the Holocaust and anti-Semitism and stuff like that recently, and so I think I need to move away and read something else for a while. Yeah, once I remember what the name is, I will go out and try to read that. And then the book I'm reading at the moment is Weather by Jenny Offill, which, yeah, it's okay so far. I'm quite enjoying the tone of it, the writing style. It's quite fun and energetic, but also there's a kind of darkness and dread underneath it, and every now and then there's a little paragraph that makes you think something terrible's about to happen. And it's a whole book that's really dealing with, I suppose, end times dread, whether it's through I don't know, sort of right wing sort of I don't know, like Pentecostal Christians worrying about the end times and whether dogs will go to heaven, or whether it's people worrying about climate change, and there's political unrest and stuff like that. I think it's set around the time that Donald Trump is elected president. So there's a lot of dread and anxiety bubbling under the surface of this book, but it still manages to maintain this kind of its sense of humour, I suppose, its wit. And it's the story of a librarian, I think called Lizzie. She works at a library help desk, but in the synopsis it says that she's an unofficial shrink, that she's a really good listener, and the kind of person that people will just talk to, and she'll just listen and maybe offer a little bit of advice. She gets approached by one of her old lecturers from college, who runs this podcast, and she basically needs an assistant to reply to her mail. And the podcast is kind of dealing with sort of the end of the world is this kind of theme. It's called Hell and High Water, and all the mail she gets, the emails she gets, kind of range from people worrying about sort of like a biblical apocalypse, all the way to people worrying about climate change, about extinction, about like post-human life on Earth and what that could look like, and things like that. And so she ends up having to answer all these weird questions about that. And it is quite interesting, but the way the story is told, it's kind of in these little, you're like being drip fed the story slowly in these little, well not even slowly, actually quite quickly, little short, quick bursts of story. Because I'll show you a page. It's all in these little tiny paragraphs, and they're more like updates or notifications of what is happening or has happened. It jumps around really quickly, and it's just over time all these things build up, and you get an idea of this woman's life, and of her encounters and her family, and it is really interesting, quite fun to read. I don't feel like I'm really getting to know her, the main character, very well, and that it's more just presenting us this stuff that's happening around her. But occasionally you do get to know some of her anxieties, and you get a bit of her personality coming through. But I think from what I've read so far, I'm about 60% through. I feel like that could come through a bit more. But I'm enjoying it. As I said, I'm about 60% through. I only started this yesterday, and I'll probably finish it tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, there we go. That's Weather by Jenny Offill. Probably next week I will tell you what I thought once it's finished. And then I'm still going slowly with the Iliad. I'm still behind, but I've made progress since my last check-in. Still enjoying it. Just getting distracted with other things, but yeah, I'm about 3/4 of the way through. Don't really have tons to say. lots of people are dying. That's pretty much all that's happened. There have been some pretty grim descriptions actually, but yeah, it's been good. And I've made a fair bit of progress. I think I've read about 70-80 pages of this Sylvia Plath biography, Red Comet, by Heather Clark, and it's been great actually. Yeah, kind of moved away from her school life, and now she's at Smith College, sort of a girls' college, women's college. I don't know what it called itself, but an all-female college. And I'm just going to hold it so it doesn't fall and knock me unconscious. But no, it has been really good. I'm definitely in that territory of the book where it's talking a lot about her dating life, and that does get a bit tiresome. Lots of other people on BookTube have said about how that's probably the only downside of that book, and I would largely agree. Some of it is actually interesting to see how some of these relationships inspired different bits of writing, but yeah, I do agree that the amount of detail and attention that these dates are given is it feels a bit like overkill sometimes, but yeah, I am enjoying it, and yeah, I'm probably going to have to leave it for a bit so I can catch up with other things, but yeah, that's that for now. Yeah, and that's actually all my reading for this week. So before I go, I thought I'd read a little poem, and I've got it on my phone. There's a page on Instagram called Folklore Poetry, and they do a poetry prize, and I think entrants to the prize are published in an anthology. But I think almost every day they just share a random poem, literally just a photograph of the poem on the page. And it's really nice, you know, as I'm just having a quick scroll through Instagram and I just find a poem, yeah, and I saw one today that I really liked, and it's called My Lips, My Lips. Wait, no, sorry, that's not what it's called. It's called What Lips My Lips Have Kissed and Where and Why by Edna St. Vincent Millay. And so I'll just share this with you. I only read it for the first time today, yeah, here we go. What lips my lips have kissed, and where and why I have forgotten, and what arms have lain under my head till morning, but the rain is full of ghosts tonight, that tap and sigh upon the glass and listen for reply, and in my heart there stirs a quiet pain for unremembered lads that not again will turn to me at midnight with a cry. Thus in the winter stands the lonely tree, nor knows what birds have vanished one by one, yet knows its boughs more silent than before. I cannot say what loves have come and gone, I only know that summer sang in me a little while, that in me sings no more. So yeah, there you have it. That was What Lips My Lips Have Kissed, and Where and Why by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Yeah, I read this for the first time today. I love that the little bit that goes, but the rain is full of ghosts tonight, that rap and sigh upon the glass and listen for reply. Yeah, I love that, and yeah, I love the loneliness of this poem. Maybe love is the wrong word. I've only read a few poems by her before, but yeah, I've been really impressed by the ones that I have read, so hopefully I'll be able to find some more of the poems soon. But yeah, for now that's everything. Yeah, please let me know what you thought in the comments, or if you have any recommendations, or if you just want to say anything, yeah, please do. And yeah, for now that's everything. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in some other video some point soon. Alright, take care.